Hello everyone, it is finally time. I have made a full TOA 1 through 100 guide for all players that will cover every stage and all monsters within the Trial of Ascension, including boss fights. Now keep in mind that this is for the new Trial of Ascension that includes Lirith as the final boss fight. This is not the old Trial of Ascension that has Athtaros as the final boss fight. There will be a completely different TOA guide for that in the near future. Now, before we get started, please drop a like and feel free to subscribe. It helps me out a ton, especially because this was not easy to make and takes a lot of time to come out with. First, I would like to explain how Trial of Ascension works. There are a total of 100 stages with 10 boss fights, each split up in 10s with 9 primary stages leading up to the boss stage. Now, while the boss stages will move around, the primary stages leading up to that specific boss fight will never move and will always lead up to the same boss fight. With this small advantage, we can know which boss fight we will have before we even reach the boss stage. Also, the first 50 floors will always stay within the first 50 floors when mixed around, so you'll never see one of the early bosses get pushed up to one of the later boss stages after Trial of Ascension resets, because it resets every month. Same goes for the top 50 floors. One thing you should remember is that the first primary stage is the very first level after a boss fight, so stages 1, 11, 21, 31, 41, 51, all the way up to floor 91 are all first primary stages. We are going to now identify which boss realm you are in by listing off each boss's first primary stage. This is where you will identify with your game which boss realm you are in, so you can click on the right video link for the 10 stages you are at. Now, let's get started. If you have the Light Vagabond or Darien as your first primary stage, you have Barandia as your boss. If you have the Fire Taoist or Gunpyeong as your first primary stage, you have Hrungnir as your boss. If you have the Water Howl or Lulu as your first primary stage, you have Camilla as your boss. If you have the Water Imp or Finn as your first primary stage, you have Asima as your boss. If you have Zinc as your first primary stage, then you have Chiwo as your boss. If you have the Wind Living Armor or Copper as your first primary stage, you have Wunsa as your boss. If you have the Light Epicure Priest or Iona as your first primary stage, you have Veramos as your boss. If you have the Dark Vagabond or Jubel as your first primary stage, you have Jameer as your boss. And if you have the Wind Imp Champion or Pigma as your first primary stage, you have Artamiel as your boss. And finally, the last 10 stages, 91 through 100, will never change, since the boss stage Lirith will always be stage 100. Now that you know which boss you have, click on the link to go to the specific stage-by-stage guide of those 10 floors.